Okay. Unfortunately, StreamYard has lost access to the LinkedIn account of the BetaCodex live channel. Hello, those of you who are out there watching at this point on YouTube. I'm going to grab us on LinkedIn here in a moment, I think. So it's been a few weeks since we've been here. Hello, welcome to BetaCodex Live. Again, those of you who are watching, I'm Ryan Erickson. This is Niels Flagging on the right side of your screen. And today the topic was something I thought of, just kind of coming to mind, reading through the materials and remembering there was one piece of the brochure that came out that like thinking about that. And it was and I just put it in this description. It's like everyone has a boss on the beta side. And that again, you and I could probably talk about it for 15 seconds and like get to like, oh, that's what that means. And like value creation is independent from a formal hierarchical structure. And that is it's a principle that makes sense when you see the 12 principles together and see that. But when I talk about this with folks, it's like, oh, it's self-organization. Oh, you can't get rid of hierarchy because everything will just go and kaboom and nothing. And it's like, well, that's not the point. We're talking about, and this is in the principle, leaderships. We're talking about formal structure, the social and formal network, and the informal value creation structure. But when you, and this is the question to you, I guess, when you said everyone has a boss, what do you mean when you say that? When you say that to people?
Yeah, but I have to start with,
if you want to go back for a little.
Yeah. I have to start with a caveat because when you suggested this topic, I thought, fuck again, but not because of you, not because of BetaCodex Live. It's because over the last months, this topic has bothered me in several contexts. First of all, we just concluded an open space beta chapter, right, with the client. Yeah. I mean, it's not fully concluded. We did the open space 2 Friday last week with the client, and at that client company with 500 people, this bosses stuff came up a lot during the 90 days. Yeah. Like, we have to assure that everybody has a boss, which to me is a ludicrous thing to even. Of course, everybody will have a boss in a beta organization.
But you see that
has to have a boss, right? That's trivial. It's banal.
So what?
Exactly. But the second thing, so that came up, and it was a big topic at the client, and it. Maybe we will talk about it later. What came from it? So it created all kinds of let's say difficulties. That this topic was overhyped in a way, the bosses topic. And the second instance was last week in Argentina. We had a few sessions. Some of the people watching might know that I have been in Buenos Aires for 8 days, and we had a few sessions. I did an open space beta practitioner qualification there, but we also did some client events, and this topic always came up. I think in at least 2 of the 3 sessions, the topic came up. Oh, and the managers, and I always think, is this real? Are we really doing this? I mean, when we talk about self-organization, decentralization, and agility, and lean, and so on. And then much of the conversation is about, oh my God, the boss, what happens with the managers? Or will the managers not resist? And what do they have to lose? And all that stuff. So it's an annoyingly important subject. That's what I want to emphasize here, right? For beta, it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal for the whole transformation thing and for getting the message across. It's one of the biggest topics. Yeah. So it's brilliant that you suggested it. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that it's present for you, and
yes, it is, and it's always in the work, right? In my work, it's always present.
Because in an alpha organization, which we acknowledge that upwards of 95% of organizations aren't aware, or the sense of how could there be any other way other than I work for this person, they work for this and that for that. But it's a distraction, much
Yes,
as budgeting is a distraction. It's
very
this
well put.
means of allowing control. And like, well, why does it matter when you, as the person working in the periphery? First of all, what do you mean by periphery? It's like,
That is the first topic to explain exactly, and why
yeah.
the
So
periphery means it needs to be in charge, and what that means for bosses and centralized steering, and how to give it up,
yeah,
and so on.
and God, every dependency, and it's like I'm.
Yes,
You
learned
don't have.
helplessness. I prefer that term, learned
Yeah.
helplessness.
Well, I mean, in the principles to what, how do we distill that down to the first principle? It's like connectedness with purpose, not dependency. We're not dependent on someone else to tell us what's important, as if us as people who are with each other, for each other, delivering value to people we care about. And that, oh, you, you mean I don't have to listen to my boss to tell me where to go? I mean, that boss
Yeah.
is there for compliance purposes, to meet legal. I mean, there's again, I want to talk about some other things that we say the bosses and managers are responsible for, but it's when you in your riff there, I'm like, it's a distraction. That's what I thought. It's like he's describing
Yes,
hierarchy and bosses as a distraction. And how do you get that as a consultant providing advice? How do you phrase this concept in a way that dissolves that concept of hierarchy, that you don't have to care, right? Maybe this is so like
I try to not to lead the conversation from the boss's topic as a starting point. Never ever.
yeah.
It's a very good question, by the way. I never thought about this maybe too consciously. Maybe because I have a history of addressing this with managers and executives, and we always came from. I mean, since the Beyond Budgeting days, we always came from. Okay, we guarantee that we will take away your toys, dear managers, like budgets, fixed targets,
Yeah.
performance appraisal, individual performance appraisal, individual targets, all those steering mechanisms, and there are a lot around. The committees, we will take them out. So I think once we talk about those things, we will take away your toys, dear managers, dear bosses, so you will not have to fake that you have to be a boss all the time, or you will not have to fool everyone that you have to be a boss and being bossy all the time. You don't have to be in alpha mode anymore. I think that always raises the question. So I would never say that beta is about having less bosses. I mean, I might say an organization needs to be decentralized and market-oriented, client-oriented, and not oriented upwards, but outwards. Those things, yes, but I mean, we are not selling as, at least I understand, but let me not generalize. When I do consulting work or speaking, I do not emphasize that beta is about being bossless or this kind of, I consider that kind of phrasing bullshit. Yes. The kind of the Gary Hamel Harvard Business Review article was phrased like that.
Fire
Right?
all the managers, right?
First, let's fire all the managers. I think that's pompous bogus, and I'm sure Gary Hamel did not choose that title. I think Harvard Business Review chose that pompous, bullying, bogus title, right? Which is totally beyond the article. Has nothing to do with the article. That's Harvard Business Review's policy,
Yeah.
right? To put bullshit titles on everything.
Yeah. Well,
So, and of course, holacracy always came with that as a marketing claim. And I don't want, personally, I don't want to have anything to do with it. Beyond Budgeting is BetaCodex is not about that. Beyond Budgeting was never about that. It's not about getting rid of any of bosses. It's about getting rid of steering, getting rid of command and control bullshit, and then you will have much less needs to have bosses. It's a consequence, and people can, I think we previously discussed this in some episode, maybe about hierarchy, that then former bosses have the opportunity to return into value creation, to do the good work, do something useful, which is great. I think it's much better for everyone. So all these fear, anger, insinuations about fear and anger of supposedly, right, of managers that have to let loose of control. I think that's it's just a zeitgeist narrative that's pretty horrible.
I mean,
I don't believe in that. I think that there are some narcissists will suffer from
well,
not being able to be bossy that much in a beta organization, or not at all in a beta organization. That's it. So,
well, I guess this comes to an organization as a stable system, a current organization that's just chunking out crap,
yes,
just because it can chunk it out and get enough profit to get share prices up. Who cares about the people? Whatever. We're just chunking through.
yes,
And that's it. And people, I abhor to use that generality of people, but workers in a system, people who are working in an alpha system
yes,
that is stable, it's like, oh, I hate it, but why do I change? Oh, this is different. Some would say that it's fear, some would say resistance, and
yes.
it is.
Not us, but
There is a point. Well, but there's a point where I know alpha, or I don't even know what it's called. I just know hierarchy. And
yes,
then this other thing is new. I don't understand it. And maybe that's what you're getting at. It's like, oh, there's no resistance to change. There's no fear and all this stuff. It's just a matter of, and this is just me saying what my theory is it's respecting the person is going from a known to an unknown, and what can I do as a consultant to help them understand what is happening and why that is, and why being in a beta with each other, for each other, market steering environment, why is that better for humanity, and why is that a more effective way to engage with complexity?
yes.
And it is a responsibility that I have a responsibility to help folks understand and answer that question that may be there.
Yes.
What do you think? What do you think of that as an alternative to fear, resistance, and whatever else?
Yes, and at the beginning you already said the conclusion. You framed it perfectly, right? That beta or decentralization is about putting value creation first and subjecting formal structure to it, or bringing value creation to the forefront and decoupling it from formal structure very consciously as well, so that formal structure becomes let's say responsible for the compliance and no more, right? And in alpha organizations, it's all entangled, it's all mixed up, muddled, messy. Also in stuff like sociocracy and holacracy and all these circle stuff, all these pompous, Spotify. It makes me really sad, really, to see that they never really, those people selling that shit, they never care about distinguishing between value creation structure and formal structure. So it's all tangled up again, and it leads to Soviet-like committees all the time. More committees, more circles are committees, right?
Because there's a hierarchy to them, right? There's
exactly, and they want to produce hierarchies. Higher circles are the top circle, and then you have to sit in, and so you never let's say in alpha or in all those messed up concepts, frameworks, tools, teams can never emancipate from formal structure, and that's just sad.
And it's
or even in Scrum.
Well,
right?
God, please don't. So what I wanted to get back to is just thinking about this in holacracy and sociocracy, and that the people who are into it, they're into it, as I've spoken with some of them, because it provides this sense of agency.
Yes.
And the individuals. Oh, yeah. I have a voice. But
everybody sings a song. Everybody gets a voice, but it's not.
And when I thought about, well, yeah, everyone's got a voice, but it's a trick.
Yeah.
It's a trick because it's this kind of and learning, from Ron Purser and reading about Elton Mayo, and like, it's a human relations thing. It's,
Yes.
you get to feel better about
Very
the
good.
fact that you get decisions, but those
Yes.
decisions get pushed up. And if there's a sociocracy or holacracy person who wants to come in and really fight for that, go ahead. But
And
to
ultimately,
me,
yeah.
coming from it, it's just this, it's hierarchy, masked as democracy, maybe.
Plus, those circles do not actually substitute the other committees, the executive teams or whatever. They don't. It's just another. It's more like a matrix structure thing, where you on the circle side or holacracy side and so on, you fool yourselves that people are in charge, or you fake it that people are in charge, which they are not, and then you still have the hierarchical stuff going on, because nothing in those manifestos or concepts says that you have to eliminate executive committees and so on. So yeah, it's really a big charade. It makes me feel bad hearing that supposedly many organizations are toying with that stuff. OKRs do the same thing, by the way, in another way right around. It's another dance, but it's still a parallel dance, around targets and so on.
And again, it's been a while since I've done my OKR study, and those folks will may disagree, but it's that there's an idea that there's more ownership, right? In that,
Yeah.
there's an objective, and we have
that
key results, and that, this is transparency, and that it's not just this zap. You must hit this target for whatever. No, we have key results that are understood, that are
supposedly.
are
The reality is that
supposedly.
they are never understood, I think.
Well, it's about just this lack of clarity and purpose, and in some
Yeah.
cases, it's.
And what we suggest, I mean, what we suggest is really to turn the view from upside to outwards to the client, so that the client can become the boss. Yeah, not the same kind of boss as those bosses, but that the client becomes the sense of direction. Market focus supplants hierarchical orientation, and that teams can actually make the decisions. So the idea is both of taking away the power from the decision-making power and the authority, or moving it back to teams where it belongs. In Beyond Budgeting, my colleagues always call that devolution, to devolve decision-making to teams. I think that's a fine word. It's not a bad word to describe that. It's a good word. To devolve decision-making where it belongs, which is to teams that create value, right? And so that bosses, managers can focus on, compliance, doing some future-oriented stuff, building the company of the future and so on within the
And
company, that kind of stuff.
and this is the whole thing that the conversation, this very low resolution conversation about management is this, leadership is that, at these
Yes.
activities.
Brilliant.
And
You're
that,
very good. This hiatus, it was good. You acquired some nice words. Very nice.
Thank you. The insights are there. Just the idea that, okay, so what sparked me there is when we were talking about, we're liberating the managers. A person has a title in an organization as it exists, a manager. Okay, so what? So they are baked in with that level of experience, a level of knowledge. We would assume that knowledge has been used to achieve mastery and wisdom and all that kind of stuff that has created a human being in that place. Okay, now whatever exists, that, okay, so I know how to achieve compliance. Now we have standards in the organization. The standards are managed by teams in the periphery and teams all across the network. There are agreements here and all this stuff. Okay, so this is what I'm getting to is that management of the tactics is different than that activity you talked about, the future focused activity. That's when I thought, okay, well, leaders focus on the future. Leaders have this that is this this
Yeah, the term leaders
design
obfuscate
thing,
the whole discussion, right? So
right?
that's why we
But
talk today. We talk about bosses and managers,
right, and
superior.
that and that title has one of the responsibilities of people who serve that function in a value creation network
Yes.
is the design of the system, right? I think that's what because I've heard that before.
Yeah.
That rang true to me, is that a future focused activity, what improvements are there to be made in the system? What, now that I have a percentage of my time as a functioning element in this organization,
Yes.
to say, where not where are we going, because the market will be there, and then there's a value create. I know I'm going way off tangent target here, but I think the idea of there is a responsibility for the long-term maintenance and growth and effectiveness of the system, because we're working the system.
Yes.
So
I have slightly over time, over the last 20 years, I have slightly adjusted my thinking on that. I'm not sure if I got if I really got what
well, I took a long way around to say that
to confuse me, which is good.
I'm not trying to confuse. I'm trying to think through it myself. But there's a function to say that future focused design skill.
Yes. But here's the thing. I think with powerful, very fast organizational transformation approaches like open space beta, and by employing open space in organizational development, what we secretly call open space dev, open space, large group
Process, whole system based change,
to involve in principle everyone. That allows to really do organizational development with everyone, together with all the willing. So I believe that the future of organizational development is not in organizational development specialists, but with everyone. This is also a thought. It's not, we didn't come up with it. I think Marvin Weisbrod articulated it very well in Productive Workplaces, Productive Workplaces book, that the future is to work the system together with all the willing, or together with everyone in principle. So what else should the managers, former bosses, do, or the bosses do? And I think it's really that I got from Ernst Weichselbaum. I think it's get out of the daily business, leave the daily business to the teams who know much better what's happening, but managers have to dedicate part of the time to building the future factory, the organization of the future, which is not the organizational design or organizational development, but think about where we should go with business models, where should we go with investments, where should we go with acquisitions, that kind of stuff. And of course, that's a bit heavy for teams dedicated to the business to also get that done. At least at teams, they cannot. But of course, people from the center and the periphery, from all parts of the center or the periphery, could participate in that future building as well. It can be done as a shared work as well, right? Let's not paint it as if this should be reserved to managers.
This is not a star chamber where the managers are back here.
Yeah, you can have other open spaces or knowledge conferences around those future topics, right? And you should in a beta organization. But the idea, and this is a thing that I think is very interesting in Toyota. We might have mentioned before in other episodes as well. At Toyota, there is something like a principle that all managers must at all times also be involved in a project. So if you are in logistics, or if you are in production or whatever, quality marketing or whatever, you also have to be involved in a project. For example, be project manager for a project where you build a new logistics warehouse or whatever. So you cannot bother your people in your business
the
too
people
much.
who report
Exactly. You cannot micromanage them, because you also have this project which should be in Toyota outside of your usual, let's say,
It's some folks would call, I mean, a growth opportunity. Some folks call them, I mean,
yeah, but
stretch
the
goals are
idea at
different,
Toyota
but
is radically different. It's that managers must be involved at all times in some project, 20, 30, or 40% of the time, so that they cannot get mind fucked,
so they
out
don't, their
out hierarchy.
skills, their business acumen, I'll say that their business acumen doesn't deteriorate.
No, that's another part of the mechanism. Yeah. Very good point. Yes, and also, I mean, it means that your scope will increase over time in what you understand about the company, that you get involved with other people. So it has a lot of it is a knowledge management thing, as you might have called it, or learning thing as well, right? So this idea that managers or people who in alpha organizations can have plenty of time to do micromanagement and shit and steering, they get involved in something that's related to the business in some way, the future business, but not the daily business, never in the daily business. And it's a very radical thing, I think, for command and control organizations to contemplate, that the role of bosses or managers will be completely different in decentralization. It's very tough to envision that. So it always requires a lot of explanation, I think.
Yeah, and if you say, oh, and again, this was the point that was made in the brochure, is that hierarchy becomes trivial, right?
Yes.
If the hierarchy is trivial, that creates a lot of time. I guess you do the hygiene around, these committee meetings aren't needed, this time is not needed for budget, the
Those
performance
meetings
review
are not
system.
needed, those steering processes are not needed. Yeah, those
Yeah,
rules.
and once those processes are gone, how do I deploy, or how do I utilize the knowledge I have gained over the years? And that's, I mean, that's now some folks will think that's exciting. Some folks may want to engage that way, and those who are unwilling, maybe whatever it is that, okay, I'm not in for this. Hey, that's fine. You don't have to do this.
Yes.
So I'm trying to think, what point was I trying to make there? I don't know. I think it was just about that when the hierarchy becomes trivial,
Yes.
that liberates a lot of things, that allows the time for, like you're saying in Toyota, for a manager to say, I am going to spend time on this project.
Yeah.
So
I have to spend time on a project.
yeah,
That's my role. It's not to bully people or to command people or to steer people, but to do the compliance stuff, remove barriers and so on. People that are reporting to me, or the teams that are reporting to me. But beyond that, I'm involved in building the future for the company. Yeah, that's I think a fine thing, how to frame the role of bosses in a beta organization. No.
Yeah. So two things came up there. Okay. So I think the one that came up was about the dialogue around, okay, managers aren't supposed to manage people as in manipulate them and do the micromanagement. A lot of the dialogue in alpha systems is about that too, and that
Yes.
managers are that there's a need to do coaching, that's that the skill of coaching, maybe this is professional coaching, that's a whole other conversation, but a responsibility of someone and who has gained management is to coach. What is your my opinion is that skill of being in dialogue with a human being and helping them understand their environment and engage in that inquiry for themselves, I think that's important. I think that's a good thing, to have a one-on-one relationship. What is your view on that?
But a one-on-one relationship between whom? What are you suggesting?
Well, I was saying that in the alpha world, that if so a manager goes to a class and says, I am no longer a micromanager, I am a coach, right?
Yes.
Okay, so setting
like
aside,
putting a mask on.
yeah, I am now this.
Here I'm a boss, and now I'm a coach.
Yeah, and that so
Or an agile leader. And I'm an agile leader.
Kaboom! You take a class and you're an agile leader, which is of course the bullshit about it.
Manager
But
3.0. Yes.
But there's a huge I guess what I'm talking about is this human flourishing, helping another person by showing compassion and say, I have more experience in this area. I am able to help this person and mentor them in some way. As I think through it, well, if I'm in a beta organization, why should that be limited to a hierarchical paternal relationship? Why would that not be, oh, here's someone who I approach or who approaches me for some knowledge and experience and that I can help them. So with each other, for each other stuff. So
it's so you really believe there should be something like a coaching role in a beta organization? We don't have to agree on everything, right? And here we might trying to figure out what you really believe.
Well, what I really believe is that it's important to have close personal relationships with one another. If I affiliate with someone who is less experienced than me, I want to help them.
That's not what you're suggesting.
Pardon me? Oh, no, I'm not. I'm not suggesting going to the back room and having not safe for work activities. No, I'm not suggesting that.
No, it could be mutually
collegiality. Some would say sponsorship. Some say mentorship.
Yes.
I mastery based.
Yeah, I believe that's not necessarily in a beta organization. I'm not saying I'm right, but my thought about beta organizations is if you really have teams, cells with small teams, if you really have those seam agreements between teams, if you really have highest levels of self-organization, then, and if you have, consider for a moment that a beta organization does not have all the bullshit meetings and rituals and processes and so on steering going on. Imagine that bosses play no role in the daily business. Then I would figure that the whole need for much coaching would evaporate, because you would have much more healthy, usually, of course. And we're not talking about exceptions, but overall, there would be much healthier work relationships. And I think this is visible at companies like Southwest Airlines.
And again,
relationships seem to be saner than in other companies.
This is about. Okay, go ahead, please.
So coaching would be something for when that's needed, get a coach, and that can be an external. Get an external coach, pick one. But not this thing that leaders need to coach. I think it's totally infested with command and control ideology and dogma. The whole notion that bosses should be coaches is command and control. How to say? It's fascist. I always like to say it's a fascist thing. Because of course bosses cannot coach. Never ever. You can be nice. You cannot be an asshole. That's good enough, I think. That's good enough. But
because you have don't be an asshole. But maybe this is about another conversation I'm having about the fiduciary responsibility you have to the organization
as a manager.
Right? So I am my job. I am a member of this place. I am committed to the purpose of this place for creating value for customers. I'm not in this to help you be an author, or a writer, or to actualize your best self. I may want that for you, But that's not my job. That is not part of my role in this organization
As a manager.
as a manager.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and I like what you're saying there. Well, what if you are a professional coach, you have the qualifications that you've gone and you've studied the actual disciplines with someone that you and I know both pretty well has done. And so you do that as an external partner, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the one thing that the aha that happens, like, well, if you have a team of 5 or 7,
Yes.
they will have close relationships.
Yes.
They
Properly.
will the hope is that they will have consequence with each other. They will hold each other accountable because they care about each other. They have
Yes.
compassion for each other, and they care about the work. So how can you're not, I mean, this is an
You're
major
likely to
American
have what Amy Edmondson calls psychological safety, which is something that happens in teams when there's social density and no fuck up,
Yeah, and that's a lagging indicator. That's not you can't
In
say
alpha,
this.
it's impossible to achieve. I always
There's
it cannot be produced. You can in a command and control system. It's hard. It's hard to produce
but there because there's
psychological
always risk that in a command and control organization, there is an ever-present risk of sanction if you are
It's
to
no,
be.
it's an ever-present likelihood of sanctioning and bullying. It's a likelihood, not a risk. In alpha organization, that's in this obtrusiveness. It's built into the system, and that's part of that is those agile coaches. Let me remind you of. It's one of your favorite topics, so maybe you know a lot more about what's going on currently. But to me,
Just because I know a lot of agile coaches, yes, okay.
no, but you did a lot of couple of conversations on agile coaching and why is it somehow futile and
Yeah.
problematic, and I think that kind of, or this idea that every team needs a coach and or somebody to facilitate. I think it's not beta at all. The idea of a beta organization is that teams need to agree on things, and that will make them more self-aware and capable over time, and increase the likelihood that they will band together, have a positive spirit.
Do we want to use a tool like Scrum or some other kind of cadence delivery on our client? Some kind of cadence.
That's something that bothers me in the agile scene a lot, that all these things seem to be kind of voluntary. That bothers me in open space agility a little bit as well. Teams may choose Kanban or Scrum. Yeah, okay, good, but that's banal. In some cases, in some companies, for example, in the case that we're currently
High volume consumer goods case company.
High volume consumer goods, yes, factory and plant and so on. Yeah. They have to use lean RFS. They have to use it. Otherwise, it's bullshit. Batch processing is stupid. So they have to apply lean RFS principles. They cannot opt in or out. They have to do it consistently. If they have, they will have 30 or so, 35, 32 periphery teams. And they all have to be consistent in using lean RFS so it's not topsy-turvy, choose whatever you want. It's just to make clear that this is
so let me
advocate voluntariness. Okay, you can choose if you put your board, whatever board you might use on the left side or the right side, teams should choose that, right? But no.
whatever work tracking. I mean, there's
No? We don't have to agree, by the way. Remember, we don't have to.
Well, I think there's a point that different work domains and different kinds of product development processes require different kinds of disciplines and different kind of work processes or procedures to do those processes. So when we're talking about lean RFS, it makes sense for there to be a standard for for
Yes.
value creation, for production.
Yes.
Oh, these are the greens. These are the greens. These are the
Yes.
greens for this, and these are the reds. Now that can
Yes.
change per market and all that kind of
Yeah.
information. And in a software development environment,
Yes.
there's a lot of people say, oh, Scrum is so mature and all this stuff is so mature. These things aren't that mature. And they're simple in many ways, in terms of the simple rules.
Yes.
I think it's what I think and what I believe is that these patterns of cadence delivery and that keep people paying attention and engaged in certain point, that's a good thing. And that's, there are, some would say this is not agile at all. You can piece parts together. But I think that software delivery is different. It's a different kind of product delivery. I don't think you can apply the same I was trying to figure out how would we apply lean RFS to software development. That's an interesting.
I would. Yeah. I think I get what you mean, because
I think it's just
building
there.
features. It makes sense in software development, but not so much in other.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole other topic, and it's not terribly interesting.
Yes.
But I think what's interesting is
Where were we?
where were we? It was about oh shit, I don't remember. I think
methods between teams, let's say, and
standards
and beta standards. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, this is
coaching. So we were coaching, and I think agile coaches teach Scrum, and like, why does each team need a coach? Why do they need a facilitator?
Yes. Yeah, I'm against the whole coaching industry thing. I think coaching is valuable in certain points for certain people. You know, it's rather exceptional that somebody needs a coach. I think that maybe now that I'm over 50 years old, I'm becoming more traditionalist. But I think that concepts like mentoring make sense. You know, so that all these take care of, not take care, but help the younger ones learn, provide them with connections and with insight into the informal structure and value creation structures. So and maybe relationships as well, so that they can. So I think that makes sense in a beta organization. A certain level of communities of practice for sure are important in that. Maybe some level of mentoring. But coaching, isn't it really just for yes, once in my life I did coaching and
I mean, there's any number of different purposes for coaching and niches for coaching, and that, which is a whole other, maybe that's another episode topic. I don't know,
but certainly I don't want bosses to coach anybody.
Yeah. So on the topic of what do bosses do?
For example, let me take this as an example. You just got me an idea. I mean, it's not a new one; it's an old one. But if bosses, managers are supposed to help others, then not their own direct reports. Should be other people. Who pick them. So you can be a mentor for people who you are not boss to. And of course, some people will have a good relationship to their boss, and that might be. But as a rule, this idea of managers becoming their underlings, coaches, it's a nasty proposition.
And there's a conflict of interest.
Exactly, conflict of interest, conflict of of roles in a way, and in some rare cases that might not be a problem. But as a rule, no. Pick a mentor, and that can be your boss, but a mentor is also chosen by the mentee first, and then the mentor has to accept it.
That, and there's a whole idea of a coaching agreement, and that one has to want to be coached, and that coaching is not, you fuck this up and I'm going to coach you into correctness.
Yes, but that's the alpha notion of coaching. Coaching has become such an alpha infested industry as well, all kinds of things. But yes, so it's a sensitive topic, and sure enough, in transformation we shouldn't market this kind of topic. Oh no, your managers should be coaches. I would never do that.
No.
I would never do that. Never ever. I would suggest no. Company needs less bosses in beta. Needs less managers doing the managing, because you do not manage that much stuff. You do not micromanage the business. So you need much fewer bosses, and the others have the opportunity to return to do something that matters.
Yeah.
And compliance and beyond the compliance stuff mainly, right?
And beyond budgeting, right?
Exactly. Beyond steering.
Beyond steering. Another one of the things that bosses do or are asked to do, or there's a meme that says bosses create the conditions for XYZ, for flourishing, for value creation, whatever. I think there is some truth to that, because we're talking about working on the factory of the future, or the company of the future, or that sliver of time. If I am a manager in an organization and I am endeavoring to help this organization in its becoming, right? So what is continuing growing, continuing to change, not change the project, that by focusing my attention, a part of my attention, when I'm not working on a project, I'm not handling compliance, when I'm doing that work of organizational design in a participative fashion, in effect, I am helping to create the conditions for future flourishing. So I don't have a. I'm
too cynicky for my taste.
Well, it's not only him. He's again, his influence is that of, as many Sith are, right? They're very insidious and influential. But I've heard folks who I respect who've swallowed that pill.
Yeah. Too many people swallow that pill. I think it's all part of the hero myth of the aggrandization of the leader. And so Brené Brown, I think she's female Sinek, right? Same lead of doom of
well,
Sith.
She's put her hat in with those folks. I think her initial research, her expertise, and what she studied in and what she grew, I think that's important. I think this other stuff is a little there's some shilling in it. But you wanted to, I didn't know if there's a specific thing about Brené Brown that you wanted to say, or just that she's affiliated with the League of Doom.
Those people, they promote bogus. They promote the worst. They are really champions of doom in organization. All this hero stuff. Leaders eat first shit.
Oh no, leaders eat last. Leaders eat last.
But who cares? What is that?
Who cares Who cares?
What? It's all this shallowness, this vagueness, this ultimately all these ideologists of command and control. Yeah. They perpetuate doom. They perpetuate a learned helplessness. And I understand you said you sympathize with the idea that managers what might they do? Create the conditions for flourishing? Too much. No. Organizations, yeah. Too much. It's too much. I cannot swallow that stuff.
Okay.
It stinks of what? That kind of superhero thing. Do you also watch The Boys?
Thinks of what? I did.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go off on a tangent here.
We always do, right? We reliably deviate.
This is the beauty of BetaCodex Live, that we go into this separate room.
But I think it teaches us a good lesson. I think that's a TV show, The Boys, on Amazon Prime. I think it teaches us a good lesson about the dangers of heroism, right? No, I think it's a whole critique of all this populist Sinek bullshit that's going on, the ideology behind it as well, right? And it satirizes that so well, so shockingly well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm not terribly happy with this season so far, but we'll see
what happens. Oh, yesterday I watched the episode 2 of that new season. The guy who Splinter, who splits up.
Yeah, there were some hilarious parts of that. Yeah, interesting.
Why are you not happy with the season? That's very important to discuss.
Well, it was. I'm like, there seemed like there's too many love stories in it this year. I'm not watching this story
Many
for
love
the
stories in the boys.
there's yeah
Interesting. You don't mean the
yeah
sex or the longing that everybody has for
I'm thinking
because they
there's
all
two.
long for love. That's
Well,
interesting.
it's true.
Interesting that you
And I don't. It's not like I'm against love. I mean, that's totally not true. But
yes.
when I watch the boys, part of the fun I get with watching the boys is watching heads explode
The
and bodies get chopped
gruesome.
in half.
The
The
gruesome.
ghoulishness
It's like
of
a
it.
person in this episode that I watched yesterday. I think
Yeah.
this butcher guy, he vomits,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
in other movies you would just see the person, going
Yeah.
down. Here, of course, you have to see the vomit splattering. That's the boys, right? You have to see the vomit on
Yeah.
the floor.
Oh yeah. Yes. You have to see the one. You have to
They make
see. Oh,
everything terrible.
and there's again the one part of it when Butcher is talking to Ryan, his stepson, son of Homelander. Again, if you watch the boys, you know this.
Yeah.
But he's watching, and Ryan is playing this video game, and they make a point of showing the fatality in this video game. It is one of the most grotesque fatalities you will ever see in
I
in
didn't
like a
even
video
notice
game.
that. There's so
I,
much
that
of that. It's grotesque, a grotesque
yeah,
show.
it's grotesque, and I do beyond the salaciousness of that. It is a critique, of course, of this soulless corporate entity and the fascist nature of these leaders, and that Homelander is this ultimate powerful, that as soon as he speaks his, I can be myself. I can be.
Yes.
I can do
That sounds
anything
like a
I want.
Brene Brown phrase.
Well,
Homelander
no,
probably has her as a coach.
no, he doesn't.
Yeah,
Oh. Um,
it's all terrifyingly, it's it's a brutal critique of fascism and populism
yeah.
and the blandness of America
Yeah.
as it is today, right? And yeah, it's brilliant, just brilliant.
A good
If you
show.
can,
Amazon Prime. Watch it for free. If you subscribe to Amazon Prime, you can get The Boys for free.
I think it's brilliant. What I found most brilliant was I once watched the behind the scenes thing where they interviewed the
Yeah.
actors, and one of the actresses said like, "Yeah, it's a critique of corporations, but you know what? We're working for Amazon, so if that
That's
isn't
right.
just that kind of corporation," and that was so brilliant. Of course,
Yeah.
so we cannot critique too much because we are also part of this work.
Because I'll get fired. Right.
Corporate world. I thought that was hilarious as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Oh, and
good.
by the way, I do also on my YouTube feed occasionally I get these little shorts because I've watched The Boys. I get these little shorts from the comic, and if you think the Amazon show is brutal, the comic is it's even more over the top. Just
Is
shall we
it?
say
Okay, I
that?
didn't know. And
Oh
by the
my
way,
gosh,
I
yes.
love the way they depict the command and control culture of VOD in the series. Of course, the CEO, former CEO, played by the brilliant Elizabeth Shue.
Oh, Elizabeth Shue, the first one, yeah.
Most wonderful actress. She was killed in whatever season 2 or so at the end of
Season 1. She's in season 1.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
God bless you.
Pardon. So she was substituted by like the marketing assistant or whatever, which is also hilarious how this plays out. The hierarchical, the command and control game that goes on. Yeah. So, but yeah, and yeah, it's a nice critique of corporate America as well, or corporations as a whole.
Yeah,
Very
the
nice.
empty suits,
and how they treat each other. How everyone treats each other. Dismissing in despicable terms. Everybody. And you have to impose yourself to. There's in episode 2, season 4, episode 2. There is this beautiful scene where the Lord of the Seven Seas, what's his name?
Oh, the deep,
where he plays tough with the CEO, and kicks back, and she immediately starts to respect him again because he's nasty, and before she just called him a loser all the time.
Yeah.
Which is back, and that works. Shockingly, that works. I think, it's a brilliant depiction of alpha.
It's this dog eat dog, whose dick is biggest kind of thing.
Yes.
Oh,
And inside they
crazy.
all suffer. I think it's a brilliant depiction of even Homelander suffers. You see him in so many scenes with this.
Oh, so this gives me hope about where it goes too, because in the last scene of episode 3, which is the last there,
I will watch it
again.
today.
Spoiler. Okay, spoiler alert. That vulnerability of Homelander is shown, and where he is going to go with it is very interesting. I think.
Okay.
So I have some hope. In the other, have you watched House of the Dragon on HBO?
Only one episode, so I do not know much about the show.
Well, I've started to watch that too, so I have some hope in television as yet. Although that has a whole other thing. Maybe this is beta and TV. Alpha is. Have we seen any televised examples of a beta organization?
Oh, probably yes. No, I wanted to talk well about a movie that I've seen recently, unrelated to what we are discussing here, but I think it was so good. A real film on, I think, Netflix about a professional killer who Knox Goes Away. That's the title. Knox Goes Away, with the guy Michael Keaton, who first played Batman in the first Batman movie. Played Batman, great actor, and this movie he produced it. It's kind of his project, and he plays this professional killer who loses his memory, and it's a fantastic film. I think it's a really one of the best films of all times. I think instant classic, brilliant.
Knox Goes Away.
Goes Away. It has another alternative title on Netflix, like Memories of a Serial Killer or something like that. Brilliant movie. Michael Keaton stars and produced, and I think directed the movie as well. Brilliant work. Art. Wow. Oscar worthy in my mind, but it's probably too good to win Oscars.
That's a whole other
very original game. Beautifully acted, fantastic actors, great story, worth watching, and it's not so brutal in a way.
It's not like The Boys or
exactly.
Or if you have Amazon Prime, again, another Invincible. I don't know if you're into animated shows. Invincible is also very good.
Oh yes, I watched the first season of that, I think.
Yes.
Oh, I'm mixing this up. Is this the cartoon thing?
Yeah, it's a superhero thing.
Well, I'm a Rick and Morty fan.
Yes.
I think that's it cannot be matched. It's just too good.
Rick and Morty is on. So we're just this is the other YouTube channel we have, is where we fanboy over all the stuff that we enjoy.
Yes, where we bring a little bit of culture discussion on culture and what we like. Good.
Yeah. So
bosses and beta. What's left? What's left to say?
What's left of bosses and betas? Hierarchy's trivial.
Trivial. Yeah. De-emphasize. Which we should deflate hierarchy.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean you will have it doesn't mean you will not have managers, but you will have much less of it. Managers will not be suffering, managers will not have to be assholes anymore. I think managers are the biggest wins. I've said this before on stage and elsewhere, and managers are the biggest winners in beta transformation because they get rid of having to be assholes.
Managers are people too. I keep saying this. And
Sure, exactly, and let them be people. Let there be love, as Simple Minds say.
there be love. Oh, so there's another song that came to me earlier in the show. You mentioned about the deception of that fooling yourself. That old Styx song, right? Angry Young Man. You know that song?
I do not
Fooling
think.
yourself and don't believe it. I'm fooling yourself. Maybe that's mine.
Whose song is that?
Styx is
Stick.
from
Who is
Styx, Styx, the band Styx.
I never. I'm kind of unaware of that band. I think that's an American band that
They are. They were
stuff.
kind of in the progressive area.
Yes.
A pop band. Really, they were much more popular than the progressive bands of the day. But late 70s, really great pop music. So be that as it may. So the song "Angry Young Man," "Fooling Yourself," that was another thing. So, I think for now I think we've done a good job of
scratching the surface of the topic, at least, right?
Of scratching the surface, and this. Well, so the other possibilities again, since you're going on vacation, I'm taking a break here too to handle some family stuff. It was great to do this again. I feel energized about going back into this. A couple other topics. One was going to be was this beta believe it. Like better believe it.
Better believe it. Yes. Oh, that's nice. I like that.
So is about that if you don't believe this is going to work, this is not going to work. That's part of in that. Beta believe it was there, or you beta believe it. What was the other? We kind of just discussed it here about the fact that how do we as beta consultants engage with those who we are inviting into and who are managers, right? So there's one level of having the executive conversation about, yes, beta transformation is going to happen. But the conversation, I feel that's a conversation that's important to talk about, because many of the people who aspire to be beta consultants don't have the access to executives and upper management, upper top managers, and that it's important to help managers, what we call middle managers, or what in the alpha shit, to be able to speak beta and to be able to understand what it means, so that they might be amplifiers for us as consultants. So that I think is an interesting topic to engage in year 2.
Yes, that's a very nice topic indeed. Yes. How to bring it into how to bring beta into organizations, and especially if we cannot reach senior executives at once, or directly. How to approach organizations if we can reach middle managers, but not necessarily top managers. Yeah. How to act. What are the interventions that are possible or plausible or doable? That makes sense. Yeah.
Vectors of intervention. So yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. A very nice topic that we might kick off with in July.
So next month, we'll go through
and
if anyone out there, and whenever and wherever you are when watching this, if you have a suggestion for a topic, I'm open to listen.
We are both open to that. Yes,
and absolutely. And let's explore and those curiosities. I think that's part of why we are here. And if you want to talk about a TV show, that can come in too. So
yes, if people can also, I mean, we think we are comfortable also to have guests. So if you want to apply as a guest, be guest in this show for a conversation with us, about us, no, with us,
We can talk
then
next time.
please get in touch. Yeah, we would be happy
Yes.
to have. We will definitely have a few guests again in season 3. So yeah,
Absolutely.
have a
Maybe
suggestion.
2 guests at a time next season.
Oh my God!
We're
Doesn't that
gonna
make the
double.
screen explode?
It will make the screen explode. I don't even have enough space here. So, well, I'm ready to sign off. Or do you want to say a word before I give my
I say
standard
thank you, Ryan,
goodbye?
for this lovely conversation. It was good to see you again after a few weeks that we passed on doing episodes, and I will be happy to continue this.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Niels. And to those of you out there, thank you for the precious gift of your time and attention. And we will see you next time on BetaCodex Live. Check it out.